everybody. Today I want to talk about why you are more responsible for using your mind than the societal narrative would lead you to believe. But in order to do that, I need to explain really briefly where that narrative even came from. So the conventional understanding of the brain originated with Plato and became known as the triune brain. It became popularized as the triune brain. Our understanding of the brain is kind of this three-layer cake. Okay, you've got the limbic system, you've got the cerebral cortex, you got that lizard brain, that primitive lizard brain. And everything that you know about mental health, everything that you understand about human beings is based on that narrative. Even our legal system is heavily rooted in that narrative. Our economic system is heavily rooted in that narrative. And that narrative was debunked in the early 60s and 70s, okay? But a book came out in 1977 by Carl Sagan, really awesome guy. It was called The Dragons of Eden, and it popularized the idea of the triune brain. Shortly after, it was clear that evolutionary neuroscience found it to be completely a myth. Now, why do you still hear about it? Well, the same reason that I still heard about it when I was struggling to get through my own mental health issues, because scientists and authors had built their careers around that understanding. And so that science remains today, and people have continued trying to conduct scientific experiments based on a flawed assumption. So we have more control over our minds than we realize. That's what the new science is showing us to be true. And I discovered this accidentally. I mean, anyone who knows me, you know that I am just, excuse my language, but balls deep in the research. And even I had to get through all the nonsense to get to the truth. And I got to the truth through my own personal experience first, and then finally got to the bottom of the research and started looking at those early papers. And then of course, coming across Lisa Feldman Barrett's work recently, where, you know, she's calling bullshit on a lot of the things that are still being spoken about. But I suffered from severe PTSD. And there's a lot of folks who look at certain conditions, certain mental conditions, and they make that into who they are. They almost make it into the most significant aspect of who they are. Because humans strive for significance, and well, at least there's something significant about me. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. So the way the brain works is it sees a situation, okay? Your brain lives in a dark black box. It sees a situation, it goes, what is this most like in my past experience? And then it architects, an experience to match that, okay? I have used the example of, you know, when you drink a glass of water when you're thirsty, that water doesn't hit the bloodstream until 20 minutes later. But the brain architects the experience of already having quenched your thirst long before the 20 minutes is up. Okay, so I grew up in a violent situation, a very violent upbringing, drugs, murder, all that jazz. And I had developed this response where if there were any situations that remotely resembled something that I had endured in my past, I would immediately become extremely weaponized, ready to destroy anything that stood in front of me in order to avoid feeling the sensations that arose when I came across certain situations, rather. And I knew I couldn't live that way anymore. And I knew that the things that I was using to try to duct tape and just kind of manage that condition, it wasn't working at the end of the day. I wanted peace of mind. I wanted to be happy. And so one day, I made the committed decision that I am going to feel all the things I'm unwilling to feel. I don't care how uncomfortable they are. I am going to stand in the face of these sensations until they fall beneath me. And that's what I did. And when you have one of those responses, it literally feels like you're dying. It literally feels like you're having a heart attack. And this might sound extreme, but I decided I need to feel a heart attack. I'm going to sit through the heart attack. And the interesting thing that ended up happening was each time I did this, my brain learned a new experience. And now it had a new experience to pull from rather than the experiences from the past. Once my body and mind realized that I wasn't actually facing a threat, everything came back to baseline. And so that reaction became less and less over time. The more I exposed myself to situations that may have appeared something like the past, I allowed myself to stay there and see that I was not in harm's way. And so again, I gave my brain a new experience to perceive life events through. And that's what the new science is showing. You're continuously cultivating your past in the present moment. So it's really important to expose the mind to a variety of experiences. I can't speak. Because you want to create the flexibility. You want a flexible mind so that it can adapt to the incredibly diverse situations that any human being faces in their life. Sorry, I'm so tongue-tied today. But I want you to understand, if you think you're fixed, there's a reason you think you're fixed, because there's a lot of people out there telling you that you're fixed. And they're telling themselves that they're fixed. That's just who they are. At least they know who they are now, even though they're miserable. It's based on an incorrect understanding of the brain. And it's not useful. Some people will rationalize that it's useful. It's not useful because it's not accurate. And all you need to do is look at the fact that we are still the most obese, addicted, overly medicated, rageful adult cohort in US history. I was considered treatment resistant for a long time. And I am here to tell you that there is another way, because I didn't think there was. But I was looking at the world through the lens that everyone else was, and everyone else still is. And so now I'm here to spread a message. You can learn how to use your mind. You are responsible for it with this knowledge, right? It means you have a responsibility now, because you can mold it into what you need it to be to live a happy, fulfilling life. But you've got to do the work. You've got to face the things that you're not willing to face. It's absolutely essential to induce neuroplasticity. But I talked about that the other day, so check out that post. That's all I got. Love ya.